That the once ruling Jubilee party is a pale shadow of itself is not in question, but attempts to position it as a formidable force ahead of the 2027 polls is gaining momentum. We speak to Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni on the loud silence of former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the marshalling of a Matiang'i candidature. But first, these are the stories making headlines tonight. Tonight, pressure pushes Deputy IG Eliud Lagat. Lagat steps down to pave way for investigations into the murder of Albert Ojang. But former Chief Justice David Maraga wants Lagat, his boss IG Douglas Kanja and DCI boss Mohamed Amin arrested.
To begin this resetting and rebuilding process, we demand the arrest of the DCI because he lied on oath under the IG, as well as Mr. Lagat himself.
Also tonight, Albert Ojwang's father now says President Ruto spoke to him on phone, assuring him of justice over his son's murder.
Namshukuru Rais kwa kuchukua kijana wangu Albert Omondi kama kijana wake na kuhisi kuona kitagua kuchukua mzigo huo kama wake ili akaweze kusema pole kupitia kwa simu yangu.
Plus, Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen directs CCTV installation in all police stations in 2 years.
It shall be mandatory to equip police stations with CCTV surveillance to enhance transparency and accountability.
This as Central Police Station OCS Samson Talam is arraigned in court. And former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua insists that he will be on the ballot in 2027. Catherine Simaloi is our sign language interpreter. Good evening. I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Welcome to the broadcast. Tonight, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Eliud Lagat, has stepped aside. Lagat, in a statement, said that he took the step to allow investigations into the murder of teacher and influencer Albert Ojwang. And as Josh Onsare now reports, former Chief Justice David Maraga says the move is not enough and is calling for the arrest of Lagat and his bosses.
In a press statement, Lagat said he opted to step aside from the office of the Deputy Inspector General, Kenya Police Service, pending completion of investigations. The embattled police boss promised to undertake to provide any support that may be required of him during the investigations of the unfortunate incident. This statement further reads that in the good and conscious thought of his role and responsibilities as the Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service, and given the ongoing investigations on the unfortunate incident of the death of Albert Ojwang, he opted to step aside from the office of the Deputy Inspector General, Kenya Police Service, pending completion of investigations. Eliud Lagat has been adversely mentioned in the case of the murder of Ojwang. The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, confirmed that Lagat was a complainant in the case.
There was a complaint that had been launched by the DIG KPS about his name being tarnished. So it is on that basis that investigations were actually being carried out, because he also have got a right.
Lagat is said to have filed a complaint following a publication that Ojwang allegedly tweeted, painting Lagat in a bad light. Ojwang's father also confirmed that when his son was arrested in Homa Bay, the officers told him that they had been sent by their boss. He also conveyed a message of condolences to the family of Albert Ojwang for the great loss. Meanwhile, former Chief Justice David Maraga has demanded the arrest of Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, his deputy Eliud Lagat, and the Director of Criminal Investigations Mohamed Amin over the death of Ojang.
The three institutions charged with the maintenance of law and order, that's the National Police Service, the DCI, and the IPOA, have lied on oath. Our institutions of human rights and justice need a serious resetting and rebuilding. To begin this resetting and rebuilding process, we demand the arrest of the DCI because he lied on oath, and the IG, as well as Mr. Langat himself.
The former CJ says they all lied under oath about the kidnapping and the eventual murder of the influencer.
This era of impunity shall only come to an end when the people reclaim their power under the Constitution that carries their hopes, dreams, and guarantees human dignity.
Maraga spoke while presenting a petition at the police headquarters in Nairobi, demanding for immediate action before June 25th. Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, as the probe into the murder of teacher and influencer Albert Ojang intensifies, Central Police Station OCS Samson Talam, who was named by IPOA as the prime suspect, will remain in custody till Wednesday, pending the ruling by the court on an application by the prosecution to detain him for 21 days to pave way for the completion of investigations. Talam faces serious claims and accusations tied to the fatal assault and suspected cover-up of Ojwang's death inside police custody. Sheila Chelangat has more.
Central Police Station OCS Samson Talam, the man who has been at the center of the storm surrounding Albert Ojwang's death, was arraigned in court on Monday. Talam is accused of planning, directing and attempting to conceal the events that led to Ojwang's death.
This matter cannot be treated with a lack of seriousness. And what is the matter? The matter is that we are saying a Kenyan died in a Kenyan police station. That Kenyan is identified as Albert Ojwang.
With the prosecution saying that Talam, who was the custodian of the station's CCTV systems, hired a technician to tamper with surveillance footage. This they believe to be a direct attempt to obstruct justice.
The father of Albert Ojwang, confused, running across Nairobi. Is it in his interest as the victim and his family that the respondent should be released on 7,000 or free bond? Because the rights belong to who? Accused person. And our answer is no.
As of now, Talam's mobile phone has been seized for forensic analysis. This, the prosecution sought for 21 days to detain him to pave way for IPOA to complete its investigations.
The limited detention of the respondent is the least restrictive measure we could adopt to protect both the interests of the respondent, the victim's interests, and as equally important, the interests of the public.
Talam's defense, however, strongly opposed the application, highlighting the officer's 29 years of service and cooperation with authorities.
Being a straightforward person, and a person of integrity, and a person of his standing, and a person who has a family, who sympathizes with this situation, he'd want to clear his name. He wouldn't want to go out in disgrace.
Ojwang was killed illegally. They cannot also process Talam and the others illegally. Due process must be followed.
Talam will remain in custody at Langata Police Station until Wednesday, June 18th, when the court is expected to rule on the prosecution's application for a 21-day detention. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Now, Albert Ojwang's father now says that President William Ruto has reached out to him by way of phone. Meshach Ojwang says the president has offered 2 million shillings financial support towards the burial preparations. Willie Dennis Njiru has more.
A day after carrying out the Luo tradition morning rituals branded Tero Yuak, Meshak Ojang, father to slain blogger Albert Ojang, has revealed that President William Ruto has indeed reached out to him on phone and conveyed his condolences.
Namshukuru Rais kwa kuchukua kijana wangu Albert Umondi kama kijana wake na kuhisi kuona kitu, sababu wengi wameaga dunia jana, hata juzi, hata wiki jana, lakini alichagua kuchukua mzigo huo kama wake ili akaweze kusema pole kupitia kwa simu yangu.
President Ruto reiterating that their quest for justice remains steadfast and that all those involved must be brought to book.
Kenyans are looking for who orchestrated the murder, who came up with the murder, who orchestrated it, who did it. And those are the people we want to see facing the full force of the law.
Meanwhile, family spokesperson Kenneth Ouma dismissed claims that the family has filed a joint petition alongside unnamed politicians regarding the ongoing case.
We are not a party to that. We are not aware of who filed the petition. We are not in it. Our lawyer is not aware, and our lawyer has written to the magistrate to clarify that Mzee is not the second petition as it is indicated in the media.
The Homa Bay County government has since commenced the construction of a two-bedroomed house for the Ojang family, which was presided over by the county boss Gladys Wanga, who called on speedy investigations to serve justice.
In this case of Albert, let anybody and everybody who was involved face the full force of the law. And there should be no sacred cows in this cause for looking for justice for Albert Ojwang.
For TV47, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Elsewhere, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has ordered the installation of CCTV cameras with external backup system in all police stations in the country. While addressing the press on Monday, CS Murkomen announced a series of policy reform systems in the National Police Service to simplify operations in the police stations all over the country. Linda Alela now reports.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen announced a raft of policy reforms in the National Police Service (NPS) to streamline efficiency in police stations across the nation, noting that the reforms are created to make Kenyan police stations centers of excellence.
This has been a long time promise, and I agree with you that it's been a promise from previous administration to now. We want to move it from promise to reality. And we know the reasons why this is serious is because if we have a digitized OB, it will help us to make sure that any reported incident can be tamper-proof.
Amongst the directives is the digitization of the occurrence books in the next year to make the incident reporting system tamper-proof, mandatory installation of CCTV surveillance in all 1,209 stations for the next 2 years, all police stations to have regular audits and performance reviews to independently examine police conduct. Murkomen further announced that all police officers to undergo fresh training and education programs for continuous professional development, including the minimum annual training as directed in their curriculum. He also instructed the NPS to take part in community policing initiatives to enhance community integration and improve the relationship between police officers and the communities.
Currently standing at 1,209. Shall have CCTV surveillance within the next 2 years.
CS Murkomen says he will be making proposals to Parliament to enact a law that criminalizes tampering with CCTV cameras and that the OCS should report CCTV failure within an hour after the occurrence. The move to have all police stations installed with CCTV cameras comes amidst claims that the gadgets at the Central Police Station were disconnected when the influencer Albert Ojwang was at the cells. It has, however, emerged that the footage at the station might have been deleted. On Monday, a Kahawa Law Court has detained a technician for 14 days on charges of tampering with CCTV footage at the station. The technician is reportedly said to have been paid 3,000 Kenya shillings to disable the surveillance system. Another suspect was detained at the Kilimani police station over the same. CS Murkomen added that the installation of the structures will be made in conjunction with the law society and religious leaders to enhance seamless realization. However, the presidential advisor on economy, Moses Kuria, has urged the interior seers to instruct the same on digital occurrence books. Kuria says on the matter of Alfred Ojang, CCTV was working but deleted. Kuria urging the seers not to close his eyes, lest it appears he are part of the grand cover-up.
Elsewhere, Police Constable James Mukhwana has detailed how influencer and teacher Albert Ojwang was killed in the hands of police officers at the Central Police Station. In his statement to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority that TV47 has seen, Mukhwana says he was instructed to get people who have been remanded and who could help discipline Ojwang once he was brought at the station. Mudhoni Brenda tells us more.
Police Constable James Mukhwana says he reported to work at the Central Police Station at 8 a.m. and took over the cell sentry duties. Well, at his place of work, Mukhwana told IPOA that the deputy OCS told him that he had been summoned by the OCS, and on arriving at the OCS's office in the company of the deputy OCS, one identified as Mr. Nganga, the door to the office was locked. He added that when at the OCS's office, he was asked how long he had worked at the National Police Service, to which he responded, 2 years. It is at that point that Mukhwana says he was told there were instructions from the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Eliud Lagat. According to Mukhwana, he was told that there would be suspects who were to be brought at the station by 8 a.m. by officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. He was then instructed to head to the cells to inform some prisoners that there would be some job to do. And the job was to discipline a suspect who was to be brought in the cells. In this case, Albert Ojwang. He was then handed 2,000 shillings and told to go talk to the prisoners. In his report, Mukhwana says at around 21:00 hours, a Subaru vehicle arrived and stopped at the entrance to the station, and he suspected they could be officers from the DCI. The people who alighted from the car, Mukhwana says, had a person who had been handcuffed, and they immediately asked for his name. It is at that point that he was shown the suspect, and he immediately called the deputy OCS asking the extent of the beating the suspect would receive. The suspect was then taken to one of the cells, and from that point, he could hear screams. Mukhwana says he rushed to stop the beating and found the suspect oozing blood from the mouth. A few days later, he says he decided to report the incident to IPOA and was arrested. Mukhwana has already petitioned the High Court to halt his prosecution in connection with the murder of teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang. Through his lawyer Danstan Omari, he has argued that his arrest by the IPOA was premature and procedurally flawed.
You're watching TV47 News. Time for us to take a short break. Just a reminder of who our guest is tonight. With me in studio is Jubilee's Secretary General. We are making sense of Jubilee Party, which way ahead of the 2027 polls. Thank you very much for coming, Mheshimiwa.
Asante for inviting me.
That discussion is right after this break. Stay with us.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Farika tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Farika is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Anyway, furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni Punet.
Ni Punet.
Punet.
So you guys knew about...
Piga.
Sawa basi. Nasema, Zlatan gave you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, months after his impeachment, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has disclosed that President William Ruto has been attempting to get in touch with him in an attempt to patch up things. Gachagua, in an interview in a local station, a local media outlet on Monday morning, revealed that he still has ambitions to spearhead the country and will be on the ballot in 2027 in an effort to prevent President William Ruto from securing a second term. Mike Kagwongo has the details of that story.
Speaking in a media interview Monday morning, the former deputy president disclosed that his former boss, President William Ruto, has been contacting him through phone calls which he ostensibly deemed not important to answer. Gachagua, who has since made clear that the opposition's top priority was to remove Ruto in the 2027 general election, has remained reluctant to reconcile, describing Ruto as an enemy of the Mount Kenya region.
We have no plan. We have a plan. And that plan does not favor him. That's why he says it's not a plan. The plan is to remove him. And that's what Kenyans want. They want a team with a plan to remove him. The simple reason is that for any other plan to work, he must be out of office. So we have so many other plans. We have a plan on how to restore the dignity of the payslip. We have a plan on how to restore the education system.
Gachagua expressed confidence that this united front can successfully challenge Ruto's government, highlighting his presidential ambition, which he was willing to shelve following a unanimous decision to prevent President William Ruto from securing a second term.
The president is saying, first and foremost, that he will not hand over to people who have no plan. To start with, there is no provision for handing over in this country. The provision is for assumption of office. If he turns up in Kasarani or not, it will not change anything. But we are at least happy that he is accepting that things are serious and he's headed home.
While voicing doubts about the newly appointed IEBC commissioner's legitimacy, the former deputy president also urged Gen Zs to register to vote, expressing optimism that the 2027 elections will be free and fair.
We are accommodative to anybody who has a desire to participate in regime change, so that we exit William Ruto as president and get a new president and a new government. CJ Maraga is welcome to work with us. And I think sometimes back they were in touch with Mother Karua, but he hasn't formally come to join our group. If he desires to come and work with us, we are more than willing.
While other regions are receiving significant support, Gachagua criticized the ongoing empowerment efforts in various parts of the country, claiming that the Mount Kenya region is being ridiculed with what he termed as useless stuff. Gachagua, who was removed from office in October 2024, claimed that President William Ruto is now desperate for support from ODM leader Raila Odinga and will do anything to ensure his political survival. Mike Kagwongo, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, that the once ruling Jubilee party is a pale shadow of its former self is not in question, but attempts to position it as a formidable force ahead of the 2027 polls is gaining momentum. We speak to Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni on the loud silence of former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the marshalling of a Matiang'i candidature. Remember, you can be part of this discussion. Send us a message on 22047. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Jeremiah Kioni is with us in studio. Thank you very much for making time for us tonight on TV47.
Asante sana. Thank you for inviting me once again.
Fair enough. On June 12th, the court ruled in what many interpreted as Jubilee being handed back to its rightful owners. How relieved is the leadership, you included, of the ruling Jubilee, of the then ruling Jubilee party to have its leaders back?
Perhaps even before that, you have said that Jubilee is a pale shadow of its former self. I think it's important to just mention for purposes of having it on record, that Jubilee led this country for a good 10 years. Jubilee TNA. The record of what we did under the leadership of Uhuru Kenyatta is there for everybody to see. We didn't have a candidate at the Jubilee Party 2022. We had a candidate at Azimio, which as Jubilee we agreed to back. So we didn't lose. Our candidate of Azimio lost.
You disagree with the description of Jubilee as...
It's completely, because we then decided to allow those who took over power to demonstrate what they can do, and they have been doing it for the last 1,000 days. Again, it is not for us to judge, but every other Kenyan can tell whether when Jubilee was in power, we were better off then than now. And I believe that majority will say that we were better off then. So it's not accurate to say that we are a pale shadow. The thing is that we've not been in power for the last 2 years. It was only necessary and important to allow those who are in power to demonstrate that they could do it better than us. They have failed to do so, and that is why we have the whole country up in arms against those in power and saying, including the one term,
just on the
time for people to go.
Mheshimiwa, just on the question,
before their time is over.
Just on the question of which you disagree, whether Jubilee is a pale shadow of itself or not. Jubilee had 140 MPs in 2017. It had 24 senators, 25 women rep, 25 governors. It has 32 members of parliament, 4 senators, 27 MPs and 4 senators and 1 governor. You don't view the drop in those numbers as painting a picture of a pale shadowed
For
party?
the reason that we, 2022, find there are many of us who are running on Jubilee ticket, but we didn't put into effort the necessary effort that you need to put when you want your own members of parliament to ensure that they retain their seats. That we must admit. The second thing is that we concentrated more on supporting our presidential candidate, Ada Azimio, not Ada Jubilee, Ada Azimio, in the name of Raila Amolo Odinga, and we paid less attention to those who are vying for the other elective seats. And number 3 is that there was a misconception that when you have a coalition candidate, those in the party will perform just as they did when they were running their own candidate. Let me put it more clearly. Having a candidate at a coalition umbrella like Azimio is not the same as having a candidate at a party like Jubilee. When we had our own candidate 2013 and 2017, in the name of Uhuru Kenyatta, we performed very well. So it is in the culture and in the keeping of this country that when you have a presidential candidate in your own party, your party performs well. That is why UDA did well because they had William Ruto. And the ODM, even if Raila was running at Azimio, when he went back to his stronghold areas, he was more of an ODM candidate than an Azimio.
Fair enough, you have put a
No,
defense
I am not even a defense. I'm trying to tell you, going forward, what will define how we do things. So when we say that we have a presidential candidate in the name of Matiang'i, that is what is making very many people uncomfortable.
We will come to that.
Because the ground that they thought we lost,
we still have time. We will come to that.
Where they thought we were a pale shadow, we will demonstrate to them that we are still the giant.
We will come to that. How relieved is the leadership of the party, Uhuru Kenyatta including, to have his party back?
Not quite relieved. Not in. I don't think the word to use is relieved, but it is. You know, the party was never going to be taken away from the leadership that was given to it by the NDC for as long as we followed the law. So it's not a relief in terms of we have won, but a relief in terms of we are now done with that phase, and we now need to concentrate on making, making the party what it should be, doing what we should have been doing the last 2 years. We have wasted 2 years in courts, while other people were out there building, strengthening their parties. And that is why you have noticed, perhaps from the beginning of this year, we have concentrated more of getting Jubilee back on track and less of moving as a team, a big group of those in the opposition. We are in the opposition. But during our meetings, I did mention, and in agreement with others, including the former Vice President Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, that it is important for each one of us to ensure that we strengthen our own parties, so that at the point at which we then come and sit and form a coalition, it is from a position of having worked for your party and seeing how the public have received your party. And just not the group, but the party.
And just on the court ruling on the 12th of June, what happens to the faction that laid claim to the leadership of the party? Are you, as the Secretary General, welcoming them back?
Open hands. Open hands. It was a misguided, misadvised thing to do. And when you see people just go astray, it's not useful to continue looking for ways of punishing them. Okay. I know there are very many members of the party who are very unhappy with that statement, but it is not in the interest of Jubilee, and especially the leadership of Jubilee, to punish anybody. Wananchi wenyewe wanajua, wanaelewa. Sasa wale hawa wananchi si wale wa 1970.
Fair enough, you're watching. Okay, fair enough, you're watching TV47 News. Time for us to take a short break. We will be back with this discussion. We still have news for you equally coming up after the break. Coming up after the break, NSSF says your pension contributions are safe.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Forget. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Forget is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni Punet.
Ni Punet.
Punet.
So you guys knew about...
Piga.
Sawa basi. Nasema, Nilata gave it the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill.
Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Did you know that elevating an injured limb can help reduce swelling? Keeping the injured area raised above the level of the heart can assist in managing swelling and promoting recovery.
How to keep your
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Kenya's fastest growing television. Just a reminder of who our guest is tonight. With me in studio is Jubilee's Secretary General, Jeremiah Kioni. We made sense of the ruling of the 12th of June, which, as some say, rightfully gave back Jubilee to former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Jeremiah Kioni, you talked of Matiang'i. And we have seen Jubilee leaders, you included, fronting him as the candidate of the party. What informed the selection of Matiang'i as a presidential candidate?
Allow me to just step one kidogo nyuma. One of the other reasons why we fought in court and fought until we won was because of what we referred to under the NADICO report, fidelity to multi-party democracy. Fidelity to multi-party democracy. And what that meant to us was that it took the lives of many in the 90s, in the 80s, to get us out of the Section 2A and where Kenya became a multi-party democracy. And it is wrong for us to allow the creeping back of that single party rule or dictatorship. And we thank God and we thank every other supporter, including the party leader Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for the support that he gave to those of us who are at the front fighting for the party. But we also want to, and I also thank even the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, and even Akina Wajakoya. We were together and fighting for the fidelity to multi-party democracy. Why am I saying this? Because the most important thing that we can do as leaders of party and also as leaders of this country is to allow the growth of many parties. As we head towards 2027, I have heard people say that this region will only have one political party. If you are not coming through my political party, you are a nobody. That is very, very retrogressive. Allow me to use that word. It's a very retrogressive thing. It's really a demonstration of a person who either has not paid attention to the history of this country or who think that we were selling Jugu Karanga when people are being killed because of multi-party democracy. it's very important for all of us to ensure that you don't kill other parties as you sell yours. Twende kwa hii soko ya siasa tukatafute kura. Having said that,
to my question.
No, it is the question. I'm answering your question.
Yes.
Because I have also heard others who are saying Matiang'i should go back and form his own party ya Kisii ndio atafute kiti ya rais nayo. You know, one is that you demean the stature of the person you are talking about. Because when you think that I can only be useful to the nation by making me a local leader, you really are not having respect for me. Two is that when you want to become a leader of this nation, you don't go to a local party. You need a national platform. Three, it's not upon you to decide which party I run on. If you are interested in the presidency, learn on the party that you have chosen. Don't choose the party for me. Like using Madera's word, how arrogant can you be to try and choose the party that I should use as a candidate?
Fair.
On Matiang'i, I'm coming to Matiang'i. Matiang'i served this country under the banner of Jubilee, TNA, JAB, all that was Jubilee, for 10 years. He has a track record of what Jubilee can do and what they did when they were under the stewardship of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Most of the times when William Ruto was out there doing what was called tanga-tangering, the person who was left chairing the subcommittee of parliament was Matiang'i. He understands clearly what was the agenda that had been set to be achieved by Jubilee. Which projects were ongoing, who was funding them, what was intended, what was the vision.
Jeremiah Kioni, I will
eventually get there.
The presidency is a political position.
The Gen Z, the young generation, a good percentage of this Kenyan voters, 2027, are people who went through Matiang'i, either at the Ministry of ICT or Education, and of course now he was also there with the Ministry of Interior. So Matiang'i has a good rapport history with the Jubilee. His interest in running for this country under Jubilee should not be a subject issue. The issue should be, are you better than him?
And now
can you compete with him?
Let me ask
when
you.
It comes
let me ask you this, Jeremiah Kioni.
And the kind of things that Kenyans want.
The presidency is a political position.
Yes.
Fred Matiang'i, though a minister and a high-ranking for that matter in the last administration, has never won an elective position, be it an MCA, a senator, a member of parliament, a governor, or a senator. You are fronting what many are saying is a political novice.
Many reasons why. One is that you can't be a person who's learned for office, but you are not a politician, you are a leader. I think one such person is Kibaki. You can be a politician, but also a person capable of transforming this country in a manner that is, nobody ever imagined. That's another person in the name of Uhuru Kenyatta. You could also be a person who comes from the professional world, the business world, and you've seen things are not working well, and you decide to run for the office and do things that others did not expect you to do in the name of Trump. You can also be a person who was just a minister. Remember this 2010 constitution is only like now 13 years old. There before you needed to be an MP, a minister, an assistant minister before you moved on. This constitution has now given room for us as Kenyans to see beyond the political leaders who go looking for votes. Are there other Kenyans who have the ability to perform? Are in the professional careers, are business people whom we can call upon to come and rescue us out of that.
And in your mind, that person is Fred Matiang'i.
And fortunately for us, we have a name in the name of Fred Matiang'i, who was picked from the sectors by Uhuru, came and performed as a minister. So while he has not gone campaigning for votes, we have seen him perform in a position that was given by an elected person.
You have painted...
And I can tell you, it is not just me saying that. Kenyans themselves are also happy about it. It is 70 years down the line, almost, when we last agreed on an individual whom we wanted to lead this country. the way Kenyans have agreed on Matiang'i.
Well, the elections, to be fair, the elections are two years and a few days ahead.
I'm here. The only other person who got this kind of, perhaps this kind of acceptance was Mzee Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta. So while we are saying that tutakaa tukubaliane na nakubali lazima watu wote wakae wakubaliane. Kwa hiyo mesa ya kukubaliana, we want a Gen Z there, we want a Mkenya there, then we want the other presidential candidate.
You have talked
because
of the
we do not want to be given a candidate that has not been chosen by Kenyans.
Fair enough. And let me ask, Mheshimiwa, with respect, you have talked of the track record of Fred Matiang'i.
I also have a good track record.
Needless to have added that. You have talked of Fred Matiang'i's track record.
Yeah.
Are you worried that a section of Kenyans are equally questioning his track record when they talk of River Yala incidents, talk of Ruaraka land saga?
Every person will have answers to give. If you have skeletons in your wardrobe, you will deal with them. When he finally comes to do all the talking that perhaps some of us have been talking on his behalf, I am sure he will pick on those questions. And let me tell you...
And does that worry the party then, as a Secretary General of the party?
I want to tell you in advance, this is a gentleman who knows how to answer questions that relate to him. So nobody should ever pretend to answer those questions on his behalf.
And those are difficult questions?
They are not. I have engaged.
When bodies of Kenyans...
He will answer them.
When bodies of innocent Kenyans were retrieved from a river
when he
as a
comes
minister?
to answer them, he will answer them.
Fair enough. Mheshimiwa, we have seen a presidential advisor share cryptic messages of posters with former President Uhuru Kenyatta in reference to Moses Kuria with the title, the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. Are you a man tonight whose job is under threat?
Well, I am not sure that Moses Kuria, I think you are talking about Moses Kuria. You have to be very careful when you credit anything that you see around Moses Kuria. Talk to him so that then you can answer questions that on what he has said with his own mouth. So zingine, Moses Kuria is the Moses Kuria we have known in this country, and you never know what all that means. Having said that, is that the position of the SG of any party, it is not a position available as you walk across or along the road. Any party, there is a way at which through which you become elected as either SG, organizing secretary, party leader. That is done through an NDC. The NDC of Jubilee, the next NDC of Jubilee, the earliest we are going to have a national delegates conference is 2028. So anybody interested in such positions has that kind of time to campaign. Maybe those you have mentioned are already campaigning for that.
And you are confident you will take through the party in the 2027 polls?
Well, yes, that's what we are working on. And I'm inviting all of them, including the ones you are mentioning, because they have now seen that the party they thought was a pale shadow of its past, it is the party that will make things happen come 2027. So mine is to invite them to come on board and help us make that great change that is required in this country. And I can also tell you that that kind of interest can only be to an institution that is making sense to Kenyans. And
in my introduction,
I
talked equally of the loud silence of former President Uhuru Kenyatta. How much is he involved into the day-to-day running of the party?
The day-to-day running of parties is done by the SGs. The party leaders in the form of former President Uhuru Kenyatta will be available as and when he thinks is necessary. So he is not silent because there is nothing he was to say which he didn't say.
And does he give you direction as the Secretary General of the party?
We talk when it is necessary. I don't want to pretend like the many people. By the way, you may even hear those people who are now setting those posters saying, niliongea na Uhuru. Because the Kenyans, political people, this political conmen, not that one, saying political conmen, have understood that the nature of Uhuru is not to come out and contradict people. So he will say, aliniambia, because he knows Uhuru will not come and say.
But will he be involved in the party's political affairs?
We will, it's again him. Political affairs of the party, well, we have organs of the party which he will chair when and as and when is necessary. You saw him chairing the NDC at the Gong Race Course. If there are such other opportunities or functions that he thinks he should get involved, he will. If he thinks that it should be done by others, he will allow them to run. He's run this country for 10 years, and we have a track record to see. So what's a political party to him?
Fair enough, and because of the interest of time, perhaps one last question. Some say you are fronting Matiang'i because you yourself, Jeremiah Kioni, is eyeing a deputy position to Matiang'i in a 2027 run-up. Are you interested in such?
Now, jambo la kwanza, if I fronted Matiang'i and said he is the presidential candidate for Jubilee, siyo mdomo tu igesema Kioni awe presidential candidate wa Jubilee.
But are you interested in that position?
Kwa hivyo, kama nikuwa candidate wa Jubilee, hiyo mdomo ingekuwa na uwezo wa kusema. Na kama huyo mdomo haijasema, kwa nini unataka kuweka maneno kwa hiyo mdomo?
And that's why you are here and I'm asking.
No, I'm saying this.
Yes.
We are at a very critical time in this country.
Okay.
We have gone south in a manner that even those who voted for this regime never imagined. We need serious individuals who can win the confidence of Kenyans across the tribal boundaries so that they have a mandate like never before to help us turn this country overnight. Overnight, not like tomorrow. And for that to happen, a lot of sacrificing of your own personal interest or your own greed to power is required.
Okay.
I want to allow me this. I know you don't have time, but
yes.
I am begging for you to allow me to say this.
30 seconds.
30 seconds is even more than I need. We are talking of Matiang'i from a smaller community. We are talking of Matiang'i from a community that's not predominantly, it's not predominantly the party, the owners of, not the owners, the people who are in Jubilee. And it's because the country needs Matiang'i more than the country needs me. So when you talk to me as the deputy party or deputy president, the country needs Matiang'i, the other things will follow. I am saying this so that those of us who are interested to run for the presidency in this country, can they find it in themselves to start seeing that Matiang'i is a more acceptable candidate and to say, let it be, not because they are weaker, but that way they become stronger.
Fair enough.
For the sake of this country.
And some will question the parameter used in judging the acceptability of that because
he himself expressed his desire.
Fair enough, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much.
Na atakuja aseme zaidi.
Fair enough. And I hope we will have him here to ask him the questions that you said we would ask him.
Usiogope.
Fair enough, Mheshimiwa. Thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate your presence and clarification.
It's good to see you after a long time.
And I hope to see you longer. We still have 2 years and some few months to the polls. Let's get to the world of business now. Let's count the cost. And the National Social Security Fund, NSSF, held a seminar which brought together organizations from 12 counties and countries to discuss ways to strengthen the positive social and economic impact of social security institutions. Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua has emphasized the need for investment strategies, expanding social security coverage, importance of savings and social protection in Kenya. The event being hosted by the National Social Security Fund of Kenya in collaboration with the ISA Liaison Office for East Africa and supported by local authorities' pension trust, is focused on strengthening the social and economic impact of social security institutions. It serves as a platform for regional delegates and social security experts to exchange ideas and discuss challenges in a rapidly evolving landscape.
Unfortunately for us in Kenya, we don't have a saving culture. And you find that people grow old, and because they didn't save enough money, then their saving plan becomes their children. Sasa inakuwa mtoto akikua, huyo ndio mtoto anachunga mzee. But now our children, and you can see the Gen Z, way of thinking and mentality, will not be there to take care of us. So unless you take care of yourself now by investing and saving a large portion of your money while you're working, it means that when you get old, you are by yourself. Do not count on your children. Cultures have changed. Your children will be there to assist you, to sustain you. You'll be there by yourself. So it's very important we enhance that culture.
To network in this concrete case in a more regional perspective, so it was mentioned more than 10 countries at about 20 institutions that are here today. So to be able to share a very applied, concrete knowledge that can be useful to our membership when you come back home, when you come back to your institution.
We are therefore determined to make the fund an institution that is trusted, that is inclusive, high-performing, and one that not only secures livelihood, but also contributes to national development.
Sports News.
To the world of sports, and Kenya's top shooter, Master Ibrahim Dongo, and his daughter, Mariam Ibrahim, were on top during this year's Mombasa Extreme International Practical Shootings Confederation Level 2 Shooting Championship held at the Bamburi Rifle Club in Mombasa County. Dongo of Bamburi Club won gold in the production division and outclassed Kenya's best female shooter, Agnes Mushiri of DCI, who won the silver medal. Maurice Muraidi grabbed the bronze medal by finishing third. Meanwhile, 16-year-old Mariam Ibrahim won the overall title in the ladies category. Mariam, who is following her father's footsteps, defeated Agnes Mushiri, who was second, while Judy Wanja took the third place. Mariam won a silver medal in the PCC division, where Geoffrey Pesa won gold and Adan Barrow bronze. 63 dedicated shooters took part in the championship.
The purpose of this event is to prepare some of our Kenyan shooters who are heading to Europe for the Europe Extreme. The same stages which they are going to shoot in Europe are the same stages which we did replication over here. So this is just a gear up for the ones who are going for the Europe Extreme Championship this month.
The stages are quite challenging but good, because we are preparing for a Euro Extreme Championship which is coming up on next weekend, from next weekend, 22nd. So there are very nice stages set here in Mombasa, and we're ready for the Euro Extreme.
Now, the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports in Kenya has launched a public participation process to preview the National Sports Policy Secessional Paper 3 of 2005 and the Sports Act of 2013. The exercise, which was held at the Kasarani Stadium, brought together stakeholders from Nairobi, Kajiado, Kiambu regions, as review aims to gather public views, comments and recommendations to inform comprehensive reforms and amendments to the current legal and institutional framework for sports in the country.
Football Kenya Federation has submitted its proposals to the committee that is overseeing the issue of the amendment of the Sports Act. Two of the proposals. One is about the issue of registration of football clubs in Kenya. We strongly believe as a federation that when clubs are registered as companies, the clubs will be able to derive more benefits as to when they're registered as societies. Some of the advantages could be they could issue shares, generate revenue, they could even trade at the National Stock Exchange and generate revenue, amongst other benefits. The second proposal we strongly believe is the jurisdiction of the Sports Dispute Tribunal. We are of the opinion that right now the Sports Dispute Tribunal operates as an appellate body.
Now, Group D of the revamped 2025 Club World Cup kicks off in Atlanta as UEFA Conference League champions. Chelsea will tonight face the American outfit Los Angeles FC in what is the first clash between an English and the United States. And that game is up next on TV47 as London's Blue Chelsea faces Los Angeles FC. That's it from me, Abubakar Abdullahi, on behalf of the entire team that made this production possible. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Enjoy the 90 minutes of the beautiful game.